Yes, yes, yes. It's the Raphael Dawkins with the Combat Radio reporting on the Shannon Courtenay versus the Ebanie Bridges. Okay, so Ebanie Bridges kind of single-handedly turned this fight into basically the headliner. This fight became the headliner. This fight was the fight that grabbed the headlines, the the weighing video for Ebanie Bridges versus Shannon Courtenay was a record breaker. I don't know exactly what the figures ended up being, but it was the most watched weigh-in ever, or so it has been said. Okay, so Ebanie Bridges brought that around. Go check out my weigh-in video for further details on why that might be. Okay, let's just say the skimpy undies got Ebanie Bridges name out there, but she could scrap too. And I was asked who did I think was going to win the fight, and I said Shannon Courtenay, even though most people or many people thought that Ebanie Bridges would do the job, but I could see, or I felt, that Shannon Courtenay's greater experience, marginally greater experience, would tell. And also, Shannon Courtenay has had a loss, therefore forcing her to up her game, and that paid dividends. That paid dividends in this fight, although it was closely contested. Shannon had just a little bit too much experience. Shannon being slightly the longer fighter, even though she's tiny. Ebanie Bridges is even tinier. And Shannon worked behind the jab. Ebanie, with her aggressive style, bulldozed in, but she was getting picked off by Shannon Courtenay in places, and in other places Ebanie's tactics, roughhouse tactics, was working, but Shannon Courtenay had some roughhouse tactics of her own, and I noticed that the heads were clashing, and Ebanie was coming off worse. And so, yeah, you see the bruised up the black eye of Ebanie Bridges closed towards the second half of the fight, and she started eating, left hands or right hands, whichever one she couldn't see, with the closed eye. And there was opportunities to exploit there of Shannon's game. She comes wide with her hooks, and if well timed, she could get taken out. That's how Rachel Ball did her. And Ebanie Bridges had some success, but as the eye closed, Shannon Courtenay edged away. Closely contested, very close, but Shannon Courtenay emerges. What's the title? She's got a belt. What is it? The vacant WBA. The vacant WBA bantamweight title. So Shannon Courtenay is now the WBA women's bantamweight belt holder. And the fight went the whole round, but Shannon Courtenay did stagger Ebanie Bridges on a couple of occasions, and looked like she might stop her. Can't remember what round that was. I think it was the fifth round. Yeah, it was the fifth round when Ebanie Bridges' knees decidedly dipped, and that happened a couple of times through the fight. And also, Ebanie Bridges also stunned Shannon Courtenay a couple of times. All in all, a very good fight, very scrap, those girls came to scrap, and they did themselves proud. Marvelous fight. Okay, so that now Shannon Courtenay emerges as the WBA bantamweight champion, women's champion. And Ebanie Bridges, she goes back to the drawing board, and she will most certainly come again. These girls, ladies, have only had a few fights. It's kind of ridiculous when you think of somebody with only 9 fights or 12 fights becoming a world champion. It's kind of outlandish, but that speaks of the fledgling nature of the women's game, that you can become a champion after just a handful of fights. But it's developing, it's growing. The talent pool will get deeper and stronger as time goes by. But for now, shout out goes to both of these ladies. Shannon Courtenay for becoming the WBA bantamweight champion, and Ebanie Bridges, who played her cards very well, got into a world title fight on 9 fights, something ridiculous like that. And she can go away, even 9? Was it even 9 fights? Something like 5 or 6. She can go away, get double that amount of fights, and come back much, much better equipped. It's Raphael Dawkins, the Combat Radio, and I'm out.